Walters is open late and a great spot to watch the final rounds of the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs. Walters Sports Bar and Restaurant is located just across the street from Nationals Park.
Now the pitch. Abrams swings and hits one in the air to deep right. Carroll heading over, but just watching. This ball is gone. Goodbye. Into the Nationals bullpen. On a 1-1 cutter from Soroka. Abrams turns and takes it out of here down the right field line. Just like that, the Nationals answer back, and we are tied. It's the Nationals 1 and the Diamondbacks 1. Now the pitch, swing and a line drive deep down the left field line toward the corner. Trouble if it's fair, and it is gone into the Arizona bullpen on a changeup out over the plate. A 2-run homer for Moreno, his 4th of the year, and the Diamondbacks now have a 3-run cushion. It's Arizona 4 and Washington 1. Clark into the wind. The 0-2 to Cruz. Here it comes. Check swing. Strike 3, and the ball game is over. So a quick inning for Clark out of the pen to close it out for the Diamondbacks, and former National Michael Soroka becomes an 8-game winner, holding the Nationals to a run on 3 hits over 7. D-backs get 2 perfect innings out of the bullpen. Cade Cavalli will suffer the loss as the Diamondbacks salvage the final game of the series.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. I'm joined by Washington Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com. He's at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, where the Nats on Sunday had a hard time against a former Nat in Michael Soroka. 5-1 loss at the Arizona Diamondbacks on Sunday, denying the Nats a 3-game sweep. But the Nats still won this 3-game series, and now in MLB's 2026 regular season are back at 500, 33-33, 21-13 on the road versus 12-20 at home. Good to have you with us. We have a website that we invite you to check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. A new shipment of Nats Chat Podcast t-shirts has just come in. Both the blue and red versions of the t-shirts have been restocked, and we appreciate the support very much. That website, again, is natschatpodcast.com, and we always appreciate those of you who wear your Nats Chat Podcast t-shirts to Nats games. Always make sure to let us know when you do that, either on X at Nats_chat or on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us to natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We love seeing that, and we love putting that stuff out there. So, you put something like that out on X, we will gladly repost that for all to see. So, Michael Soroka, the Nats over the first 2 games of this series at the Diamondbacks did so well against Diamondback starting pitchers, but the Nats on Sunday struggled against our old pal Soroka. 1 run in 7 innings, 6 strikeouts. December 2024, the Nats announced having agreed with Soroka as a free agent on a 1-year contract, what was a reported $9 million deal. The Nats, as you may recall, flipped Soroka, traded him this past July 31st, what was 2025 MLB trade deadline day, traded him to the Chicago Cubs for 2 prospects and shortstop Ronnie Cruz and outfielder Christian Franklin. And Mark, the Nats on Sunday could not solve the puzzle that was Michael Soroka.
I mean, they had nothing. Hell, the C.J. Abrams home run and hardly anything else. And as I'm watching that game play out, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've seen this from Soroka. 4 or 5 innings, he can look really good. And then last year, that usually meant he would hit a wall about the 6th inning and it would all come tumbling down. And that was not the case this time. He got through the 6th, then he came back out for the 7th, something we never saw him do as a member of the Nationals. And he completed the 7th too and finished on 100 pitches. Exactly. Good for him that he's healthy. He's pitching well. This start, while obviously really good, was not necessarily out of the ordinary for him this year. He's had a very good season so far for Arizona. I know a lot of people on the national side who were around last year are really happy for him on a personal level. They wish it didn't happen against them, but he was in control. This was the version of Michael Soroka that the Nats hoped they would see a lot of last year. And again, they would see glimpses of it here and there within a start, but it was pretty rare for him to be able to sustain that over an entire start. It looks like he's in good physical shape and pitching well, that he is now able to do that, and good for him.
The Nats over the first 2 games of the series, 20 runs. The Nats in this Game 3 loss on Sunday, just 1 run. I mean, just such a difference in what we had seen from this offense over the first 2 games of this series. And there just was not a lot happening with this team offensively in this game. I mean, you look at the Nats totals for this game, 1 run, 3 hits, although each hit was an extra base hit. So, you could say this about the 2026 Nats. So good are they offensively that even in a bad offensive game, they can do something that stands out like that, where each hit is an extra base hit. The Nats had a homer and 2 doubles, but just 2 walks, 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. The home run coming from C.J. Abrams. He is the Nats starting shortstop and number 4 batter, 1 for 4 with a solo homer. Abrams in the Nats 1-run second, a leadoff homer to right field to tie the game at 1. The Nats, unlike in each of the first 2 games of this series, did not put up 2 runs in the top of the first, but did get that homer from Abrams. And so in the moment, you maybe feel like, all right, now the offense is getting going, but the offense never really got going.
No. First of all, great swing by Abrams there to hit that ball out to lead off the top of the second. It's a cutter on the inner third of the plate, and he got his hands in on it, turned on it, and sent it down the right field line into the bullpen. So another, and just a long line of really impressive at-bats from C.J. Abrams so far this year. But after that, Soroka comes right back, 1, 2, 3. Didn't get up another hit again until the 6th inning, and that was Curtis Mead's double. So they just couldn't sustain anything here. And, a lot of these guys, some of them were around last year for him. I think a lot of them are still kind of new. They maybe don't really know Soroka the way that, others might. It felt like they just didn't really know what to do with him. They attacked him early. Later on in the game, it felt like they were maybe expanding the strike zone a little bit, chasing some pitches that weren't great pitches to hit. They just never found a comfort zone against him, and that's a credit to him. But, I'll tell you what, it says something about the state of the Nationals lineup that a game like this feels so out of the ordinary. This kind of stuff happened all the time the last few years. 1 run on 3 hits. We were very used to that kind of game. This year, it really feels like totally out of left field. You never see a game like this coming because they just haven't done this very often.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be mad, right, with how good the offense has been, with the fact that the Nats won the first 2 games of this series, so you're playing with house money in a Game 3 like this. I mentioned the Nats having 2 walks. Each of those walks came from James Wood. He is the Nats starting DH and number 1 batter, 0 for 2 with 2 walks. How about Dylan Cruz in this game? So he homers and has a single in Game 2 of the series. And then Cruz on Sunday as the Nats starting right fielder and number 5 batter, 0 for 4, but he per StatCast had 2 of the Nats' top 3 exit velocities in the game. A line out in the top of the 4th at 111.2 miles per hour and a flyout in the top of the 7th at 102.5 miles per hour. I am sure people are so sick of hearing about Dylan Cruz and the process and him hitting balls hard. And I get it, man. Trust me, I do. I'm kind of tired of talking about it. But, our job on this podcast is to talk about what's going on. And here we were again with Dylan Cruz doing his process thing, scorching 2 balls, but not having anything to show for doing that in terms of results.
Yeah, that's annoying. Obviously, the success on Saturday helped make everybody feel better about the way things are going. But the way he keeps saying it to us is that he is fully focused on the process and not the results. And so I didn't talk to him after this game, but I would imagine he looked at that and said, I liked the way I approached those at bats. I made really good contact twice. The line drive to shortstop, especially, was just smoked. And that's one of those, like a couple feet one way or the other, and it's a clean hit. And we're talking about a much better game for him. But his mindset, and we're, if we're going to take him at his word on it, is that that's what matters to him more than the end result. Now, of course, in the end of the day, you do need some results. He got them on Saturday. He didn't get them in this one. But the law of averages says eventually you keep hitting balls over 100 miles an hour, you're going to get hits along the way. And so I think important in this one, too, these weren't hard hit ground balls. This is a line drive and a flyout. I think that's a better sign because frequently his hardest contact has often come on the ground. Now, the last few days, we're seeing him hit the ball in the air more, over 100 miles an hour. Hopefully, this all does ultimately lead to some sustained success and some results that really stand out.
It feels like if Cruz ever really gets going, he's going to get like white hot. We're just waiting for him to really get going. That really hasn't happened in any of his stints at the major league level so far. But it does feel like if it comes, it's going to be like an avalanche. And I think we're all just kind of waiting for that to happen. And hopefully it does happen at some point soon. By the way, I mentioned James Wood as the Nats starting DH. The initial Nats lineup for this game had Wood as a starting left fielder, Dalen Lyle as a starting DH. The Nats then altered that to Wood as a starting DH, Lyle as a starting left fielder. Not that this is that big of a deal, but any idea why the Nats made that change?
I think his knee was still a little bit bothering him. Remember, he fouled a pitch off his knee on Friday night, came out of that game when they were way ahead already. And then he served as the DH on Saturday, probably for that reason. I think they maybe were hoping initially he'd be good enough to go in the field on Sunday, but they said, you know what, if it's still bothering you at all, let's just let you take your 4 at-bats, stay off your feet. And Dalen Lyle, by the way, we can get into this today or another time. His defensive numbers have gotten a lot better. And it's been kind of an underrated part of this season. We haven't talked a lot about it. He has definitely been better in the outfield. He made a really nice catch on Saturday, tracking down a ball in the left field corner. I think, yes, James Wood is the better defender, and you ideally rather have him out there. But I think it's not the worst thing to have Dalen Lyle playing in left field on a more regular basis, because I think the improvement this year has been significant, and that's a great sign for him.
Absolutely. I mean, he looks a lot more comfortable. He's making just things seem more normal and routine. There were some adventures last season, to be sure. And if you go by the stats, I mean, he for last regular season had an outs above average per StatCast of -8. He, for this regular season going into Sunday, outs above average of +2. I mean, that's a significant turnaround. So good for him for doing that. And, if he can be someone who you feel comfortable playing in the outfield and not someone who you feel like you have to have more often than not as a DH, that's a huge bonus. I mean, he's too young and he's an athletic guy. You'd like to think he could be a good outfielder. And it's good to see that we're seeing signs that he can be a good outfielder.
Right. I remember he did at one time in the minor leagues played center field. So it's not like there's no ability there from him. Now, obviously, given their other talent they have here, he's not going to play center field with the Nationals when you have Jacob Young and Dylan Cruz and, if Robert Hassel ever comes back up, that kind of thing. But I do think it's important. He really talked about it this winter and this spring about that was a big point of emphasis for him to improve his defense. And what it also does is it allows you to give Wood days like this where he can just DH. It's not the worst thing in the world. Not that you don't, just like Lyle, you don't want Wood to become a permanent DH, but any chance you get to take him off his feet a little bit, because he doesn't take days off in general, I think that's a good thing, and you still keep his bat in the lineup.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Wood is such an Iron Man. It's one of the rated, understated, underdiscussed things about him. And we knock on wood when we say this, but he's not only great, he has been supremely durable. I mean, he, like a lot of guys on this team, just not showing any kind of penchant for injury. But specific to Wood, like when you think about a franchise guy, a guy who hopefully the Nats end up paying a ton of money, you want to pay someone who's going to stay healthy. And Wood so far is showing that he can stay healthy. So good to see that. Don't
knock on Wood too much or he might get hurt. Just be careful if you're going to do that.
That's true. That's a good point. I didn't consider that. Al Galdi here to tell you about Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale that's going on this summer during the heat. But before that, the Window Nation look into the future.
Hit deep to left and gone. Franklin on the second pitch of the game hits his fourth of the year. He's knocked in 18. And Rochester, which got to Fellows early on Tuesday, does so again today. It's 1-0 Red Wings.
Window Nation has a great offer for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast, the Buy 4, Get 4 free sale, during which you could replace all of your home's windows and get half of them for free. Plus, you can get your windows with no money down and no payments or interest for 2 years. The sale ends soon, so call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com now to book a consultation. 866-99-WINDOW-NATION or windownation.com to book a consultation, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
Here is the wind by Cavalli and the pitch. Swinging a long drive hit to right center field. This is way back. Can anyone get there? No, it is gone. Goodbye. A home run for Corbin Carroll. Bounces back over the fence. Caught by Jacob Young, and he flipped it right back over into the swimming pool area. Corbin Carroll, it's his 10th home run of the year, swinging at all 5 pitches from Cade Cavalli, 4 foul balls and then a home run. And it's the Diamondbacks scoring first in the first today. Arizona 1 and Washington 0.
I would like to have those pitches back, take full responsibility on it. Hung a curveball to Carroll when I was trying to go down with it. It's just a bad pitch on my part.
The Nats starting pitcher in this 5-1 loss at the Diamondbacks on Sunday, Cade Cavalli, who ended up not doing well for the first time in 6 outings. He had been in a nice groove. That groove, unfortunately, came to an end. He allowed 4 runs in 5 innings. He gave up 7 hits, which were 2 home runs and 5 singles, issued a walk, recorded just 2 strikeouts, but did throw a lot of strikes, 88 pitches, 61 strikes, just 27 balls. The home runs really ended up being the thing. Cavalli, in the bottom of the first, gave up a 1-out solo homer by Corbin Carroll to right center field on an 0-2 pitch for a 1-0 Diamondbacks lead. And that was some shot by Carroll, 417 feet per Statcast. And Cavalli, in the bottom of the 5th, allowed 2 runs as he issued a leadoff walk at Tommy Troy and gave up a 2-out 2-run homer by Gabriel Moreno for a 4-1 Diamondbacks lead. So the home runs stand out, but also the lack of strikeouts, even with all the strike throwing. Cavalli's been such a good strikeout pitcher, but in this game, just 2 strikeouts over his 5 innings.
So he's pounding the strike zone. He threw his first 13 pitches of the game for strikes. That's great, but he didn't really have the put away pitch. They were fouling a lot off. There was some weak contact that led to 3 hits in the 4th inning that all had, I think, an exit velocity of 70 miles an hour or below. So other than the 2 home runs, not a lot of loud contact, but he did not have that good put-away pitch that we have seen from him a lot this year. And I think that led to the lack of strikeouts and ultimately drove the pitch count up to the point that he only went 5 innings. So kind of a strange start. The 2 home run pitches were not great pitches, and he was kicking himself for that. But there wasn't much else beyond that. I think it's just a matter for him of refining it so that he's throwing pitches that look like strikes. We know he's a strike thrower. You get them swinging, but maybe pitches that then move out of the zone or stay just off the edge and get them to swing and miss. And in this case, I think it was maybe around the plate almost too much, and that led to all the contact and the lack of strikeouts.
You look at Cavalli now here. So he has made 14 starts, ERA 3.88. The whip is at 1.44. Even with the low strikeout total for Sunday, it's got a strikeouts per 9 innings of 9.82. Another thing like we just talked about with James Wood, and again, we knock on wood, whether it is James Wood or Phil Wood or whatever Wood you want to engage in here, but Cavalli is showing he can stay healthy here. Like I feel like that's an underrated aspect of his season. First of all, overall, he's doing well. But it's not like this guy has, an ailment here, an ailment there. You're worried about, can he last for a while in games? Early in the season, he maybe wasn't going deep into games, but it wasn't for like health issues. It was more for like command issues. I think this is a really nice development that Cavalli is demonstrating some real durability here.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as we've wanted to look at the results, I'm not saying they aren't important because they are, and he has been overall good for them. We do have to keep reminding ourselves that if he does nothing else but make 25 to 30 starts this year in the big leagues and emerges healthy, that in itself is a huge win given his history. So yeah, you'd love for those to be 25 to 30 good quality starts, and that, if he ends the season with an ERA in the 3s, like that's fantastic. But even if somehow he doesn't, I would much rather see him go the whole season with an ERA that ends up over 4 than I would see him only make 20 starts with a lower ERA. I think it's more important in the bigger picture, just that he proves that he can do this and that his body can hold up over a full 162-game season for the first time. The results, yes, eventually that's going to be important, and for the most part, they have been good this year. But the 2 things he had to do this year, number 1, prove that he could be healthy, and then number 2, prove that he could be an effective big league pitcher. He's done both so far, and I don't think we should shortchange that at all, what he's done now through more than 2 months.
We know that things can change, so there might not be a workload limit now, but maybe in a couple months, Cavalli starts complaining about something, and then that's institute a workload limit, come August, September. But as things stand right now, do you think there is a workload limit on Cavalli, or do you think if he's feeling good, he'll be allowed to complete the season and pitch as much as he can?
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't heard anything to suggest that they have limitations on him. Yeah, they're not going to extend him way beyond 100 pitches. We haven't really seen that happen. I think they're cognizant of that. But as long as he takes the ball every 5th day and has no complaints, and as long as the performance is relatively okay and they're not seeing a drop in velocity or anything else that would be a warning sign, I think they're okay letting him continue. Now, there could be a different conversation come September, especially if the team is not really in the race. We'll see if they find some ways to manipulate that at all. But so far, he's taken the ball every time. There has been no issue that I've heard about. And I think they're really pleased and willing to just kind of keep along that path as long as everything looks to be good.
So this was a good series for the Nats in a variety of ways, including with the bullpen. As you may recall, the Nats bullpen was not good in the Nats previous series, the team getting swept by the Miami Marlins at Nationals Park last Monday through Wednesday, June 1st through the 3rd. That really was like a step back series for a bullpen that had demonstrated some improvement. Well, the bullpen in this series bounced back big time. Nats relievers over the 3 games in this series combined to allow 1 run in 11 innings. 2 Nats relievers in this 5-1 loss at the Diamondbacks on Sunday combined to allow 1 run in 3 innings. Riley Cornelio is back. The Nats on Sunday afternoon announced having recalled him from AAA Rochester. This is the corresponding roster move to the Nats on Saturday night, announcing having optioned reliever Cole Henry to Rochester. Now, Cornelio had a mixed outing, shall we say, on Sunday. 1 run in 2 innings, gave up a double and a single, issued 3 walks. He recorded 1 strikeout, but he did not throw many strikes, given the number of pitches, 44 pitches, 25 strikes, 19 balls. Gus Varland did then toss a perfect bottom of the 8th. But Cornelio's first outing at the major league level here did not go so well. That was all the way back on April 24th. The Nats 5-4 loss at the Chicago White Sox. Cornelio in that game, 3 runs, 2 earned in 2 innings. He issued 4 walks in that game, 42 pitches, 21 strikes. That was it, 21 balls. And we saw what we saw in this game on Sunday. What do you think about Cornelio back at the major league level? And what is going to be the usage of him, do you think?
So here's the interesting part of it. Blake Butera essentially said that the plan is for him to stay this time and to be a multi-inning reliever, a la Brad Lord, Mitchell Parker, I guess Andrew Alvarez before he moved into the rotation. That's how they are viewing him for now. The performance at AAA hadn't been lights out. It's not like he was dominating there. But if you look back at the game logs, he did in the last week make a 2-inning relief appearance for the first time. And that would be the tell that they're looking to do something along these lines. So they view him as a potential multi-inning reliever for them. That doesn't mean they couldn't think of him as a starter ultimately down the road someday. But for now, they like what they have, and they would think it's more valuable for him to get experience in the big leagues as a reliever than keeping him at AAA as a starter. Now, what he's going to need to do up here, and we have not seen this in the 2 starts. The results were better this time. He's still not throwing enough strikes, and he's falling behind and, walked the first batter, fell behind in the count to several, really had trouble landing his slider for strikes. This is going to be the test for him now. He's got great stuff. We've seen that. Can he, keep it in the strike zone enough? Can he work ahead in the count more to be able to have success? If so, he can stick up here in that kind of role. They'll give him some rope, of course. This wasn't a super high leverage spot because they were trailing. We'll see how that goes if they make a call to, only use him when they're trailing, or would they bring him into another tight game again? We'll have to see how that goes. But this was not just a one-time deal. The intention here is to have him up here and see what he can do for them as a reliever, and forgetting about the starting thing for now.
So we'll see what happens with Andrew Alvarez. But right now, the Nats, you could argue, have 4 long men on the pitching staff in terms of Alvarez, Riley Cornelio, Mitchell Parker, and Brad Lord. Now, Alvarez currently is in the rotation, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Jake Irvin comes back, if that's anytime soon. But yeah, the Nats are bulking up on bulk men, so to speak, in terms of relievers who can accumulate innings and work for multiple innings at a time. Cornelio now over his 2 games, 4 innings, 7 walks issued. But like you said, he has good stuff. And this is someone who is doing really well in the minors. 2025 minor league pitcher of the year. He last season pitched for High-A Wilmington, AA Harrisburg, and AAA Rochester. So he is pretty well regarded. And in a season in which the Nats' top pitching prospects are not expected to be summoned to the majors, guys like Andrew Alvarez and Riley Cornelio have real opportunity here. So you'd like to see these guys take advantage of it. Alvarez so far has done that. We'll see with Cornelio.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity. There's a very similar career path here to Brad Lord. Now, the stuff is better than Lord would show, but there's a similar thing where it wasn't all that highly touted in the minor leagues, but really came on, jumping up several levels in the system and earning his spot in the big leagues. And as with Lord, who has been a starter, and you could say, well, maybe that's where his future is, he's proven very valuable in that long/middle relief role for them. And, it's funny, Cornelio actually was drafted in the same class as Lord. They're close friends. He's watched his career very closely. And spoke today about like modeling himself after that in some ways, that he's learned a lot from him and that he really wants to show that he can be adaptable and be available to the team in whatever role they need from him. It seemed like he had fewer nerves this time around. I think that's better. But ultimately, you got to throw strikes up here. Brad Lord has done a good job of that. Cornelio, he's going to get more opportunities. Let's see how he does with it. If he can throw strikes with that kind of stuff, he's going to have a chance to be up here for a while.
The pitch coming. Swinging a long drive, center field deep. Back goes Young, near the warning track, edge of the track, makes the catch. Runners tag at every base. The throw in toward third is not going to be in time. Carroll scores. Moreno to third. Arenado to second on a booming sac fly for Pavin Smith. And the Diamondbacks add a run and lead 5-1.
Next up for the Nats is a 3-game series at the San Francisco Giants. The Nats have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1 Monday night at 9:45, Miles Mikolas. Game 2 Tuesday night at 9:45, the aforementioned Andrew Alvarez. And Game 3 Wednesday afternoon at 3:45, Foster Griffin. So he appears to be fine off leaving his previous outing here due to back tightness.
Yeah, everything seems to be fine there. Mikolas, as far as we know, is going to get the start. You never know with this. We didn't see Richard Lovelady all weekend. I don't know if that means they're saving him up to open perhaps in San Francisco. But for now, it's Mikolas. And before we go, can I give you a little bit of breaking news? The team is promoting Eli Willits up to High-A Wilmington after a very successful opening couple months in Fredericksburg. And so, first of all, because he's, number 1 overall pick, that's a big deal in itself. But also, we have seen now this group of young infielders that they have amassed, both through the draft and through trades. And they're kind of climbing the ladder together again. And now several of them are going to be together in Wilmington. That's a pretty amazing infield they would have there of Eli Willits, Devin Fitzgerald, and Ronnie Cruz. And I don't know how they're going to manage the playing time and figure out who goes where, but the Wilmington Blue Rocks may be the place to be now to watch some impressive young infielders play.
Eli Willits, so far, so very good off being selected with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 MLB First Year Player Draft. And you think about what he could be, and you think about who he is not represented by. He is not represented by Scott Boras. And you look at the recent trend in MLB, which is not only that you sign key/promising young players to contract extensions early, but that in many instances now, you sign them more or less sight unseen at the major league level. Like you draft the guy, you have him in the minors, and then you bring him up and you right away extend him. Or you maybe even have the extension worked out before you even call him up. And I wonder if Paul Taboni views Eli Willits as a candidate for such action. Now, of course, you need to see how the development goes. You're not doing the extension tomorrow. I get that. But I wonder if Paul Taboni, when he's sitting down and thinking long term, if he's eyeing Eli Willits, especially with as well as he's doing so far, as, okay, this is a guy with whom we can do, as, say, the Pittsburgh Pirates did with their shortstop, Connor Griffin, and lock him up supremely early before his major league career ever truly gets going.
It's certainly an enticing possibility. And I know that, the way Taboni and his front office, very forward thinking, the way they operate, I'm sure has done more than just cross their minds. I'm sure they've internally at least had that discussion. Doesn't mean anything's going to actually happen. I can't remember if we discussed it on here, but a few weeks back, Willits did leave his original agency, which he was represented by Brian Menitti, a former assistant GM of the Nationals, and he went to CAA. Now, that's not Boras, so that's good in some ways. The Nats have a lot of history with CAA, a lot of their players, including Trey Turner, Ryan Zimmerman, represented by them. So we'll see where that goes from there. But if he keeps performing the way he has, the fact he's already at High-A ball less than a year after he was drafted, if he keeps that up, it's something to watch for sure. And if he's amenable to it, I could see there being at least a discussion at some point down the road about that possibility.
Would make a lot of sense. Absolutely. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. And like we said, we have a website you could check out too to get yourself a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. That website is natschatpodcast.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
And now that's a spear at first by Daudet. Willits can fly and he's safe. Wow. You're looking for tools, are ya? The man at first has them all, and he's got a 3-hit game in his professional debut.
Big color, bigger savings. Sherwin-Williams Super Sale is here. Get 40% off paints and stains June 5th through the 11th with prices starting at $30.89. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.